Hi, my name is Colin SkipperWing Bird, and welcome to a special subset of the SkipperWing Draws a Thing video series, process videos for the Crimson Fly animated comic strip. There is also a silent version of this video without the commentary available. It's in the, check the description and the cards for the links. Today's strip, issue 4, strip number 52. First and foremost, I want to address an elephant in the room. While I normally don't like to date these strips by mentioning personal events, I would like to note that this strip was late, and what I would like to do to rectify that is in the future, when making the strips, if I'm going to be late, I'm going to try and make a Monday update with the static comics, and then on Wednesday have the full animated comic. That way there's still content on Mondays if you check in, and it gives me time to flesh everything out. I'd rather not do that because I'd rather not have the animated comic conflict with the strips, but sometimes life happens and I'd like to have a backup. A better backup than not telling anybody about my mistakes. So strip number 52 is interesting because, like strip number 28 before it, it's a vertical strip. One of the things I love about digital comics is that we're not beholden to a specific format. Most of our comics are not meant, well, they are sort of meant to be printed eventually, but the primary medium that people consume them in is digitally on a computer screen, which has no limits as far as screen space goes. The comics philosopher Scott McCloud refers to this as the infinite canvas. So sometimes you run into strips like strips number 52 where they're falling off a building, where a vertical format would be more beneficial. The problem comes in that I do eventually want to print these strips, and then what do you do with the strips where they are where the vertical strips versus the horizontal strips? And to say nothing of the animated app compilations, where in their current format, their current beta format, they are completely horizontal with no real room for vertical strips. And I haven't figured out how to code it in such a way that the app would expand along with the vertical strips. And the best solution I've come up with is a scroll bar. The problem is that for a fast moving strip like number 58, a scroll bar slows everything down and makes everything confusing. So I think the solution that I'm going to go with in the future is just to have 2 strips in each compilation. Not 2 strips, but the layout being 2 strips to a page, like I do have in the printed versions, and just have the vertical strips be on their own layout. The reason why strip number 58 started out horizontal and then moved to a vertical format is that I wanted to see if I could make a vertical composition in a horizontal space. And I'm learning that every time I try to do that, it just does not work. Not that it's a bad idea, it's just that I'm not personally skilled enough to make that work. So until I am unfortunately going to have to bend the rules a little bit and do vertical with vertical strips. This presents a little bit of a quandary because as far as animation goes, I don't have a template set up for vertical strips yet. And so it means that time has to go out of my way to set up the strip so that it doesn't, so it still works. 58, strip number 58 was even more of a pain in my keister because, like, again, actually, strangely enough, strip number 28 before it, the characters play with their medium. They go between panels and through them. And that causes a issue in Flash, which means because they usually have to create multiple layers for characters to go in between and in front of and behind other characters. It's also more complicated in this particular strip because the Crimson Fly interacts with other characters going in front and behind them. And as mentioned earlier, this creates a bit of a quandary because now the character has to interact with other characters and go in front and behind them. I dealt with this by having the characters start out on separate layers, and then when I was coloring and inking them, having them on the same layer. Still took a lot of time, but I think the results were worth it. And that's it for today's video. If you want to see this strip in its true format, please click the links in the annotations and cards. If you're new, please like and subscribe for more content. This is Colin SkipperWing Bird signing out. I'll catch you peeps later.